is March 28th, 2025. This was Lou. I was trying to figure out, where I wanted to read next. And I just was reading what was next. Romans 3. Well, it was like a foreign language. It kind of messed with my head. So it's like, oh no, I'm not going to read that. It's too much. It's kind of like something to make me dizzy. It's like reading a foreign language, basically. And then not just foreign language, but, it's the early church that Jesus has established. He sent out his people, his apostles, 2 by 2, and they went out and started a movement, okay? And so there were churches set up where all these people were in different places. So that looks like that's what that is. It's just my head does not want to assimilate. You guys understand? Anybody out there? Let's see, was that Star Trek? Assimilate. The Borg. It seems like, I can't see that well. It seems like there's too much of a bright light. See, I've got this ring thing I'm trying to use, but there's way too much glare. And I can feel my eyes squinting. I don't know if there's enough light to come in. Well, I'm going to just turn it off. You see, I don't have my glasses on, so it's blurry. But you can see me. There might be less glare because my iPad's going to give me a glare anyway. So I am not sure how to get that glare out of there. And also what I wanted to read. So, I decided I don't want to read Romans 3. Not my cup of tea, especially to try to decipher this old language. So you guys might want to go check it out. I've read 1 and 2. And there's quite a few. Let's see. It's all changed from where it was. I have to poke some buttons here. Go to the New Testament. You guys ought to have the app if you don't. It's called the Gospel Library. I have to have these things are a little bit blurry without it. Okay, so I was just talking about Romans. And I shouldn't get lost because I might want to go to Acts. I think I do because I read just a little bit of that too. That's where I want to go. Yeah. If you don't have the app, it's called Gospel Library. And it's a free app. And it's got, I wonder if I can get rid of that glare. Because it's from my iPad. That's less anyway. Anyway, I decided I want to read the Acts. And hopefully it'll be a little easier than what this is. Oh, I remember what it was I was going to share. Remember, I was trying to figure out who is Paul. And I knew his name was Saul. So anyway, I Googled it just a little bit ago. But that's what I lost. I had it on here. I Googled it, so Wikipedia had something to say about Paul. And one of the things I remember is he's a Pharisee. But I get lost in all that stuff because the Jews have their hierarchy. I'm going to call it, I think I know what that word means. You know, they've got their people who enforce the law. People who are all full of themselves and enforce the law and in a very strict manner. And we're talking just stupid stuff. I mean, stuff that we wouldn't even think of today. Maybe it doesn't make it stupid, but it seems pretty stupid to me. And I've got this down where it's glaring again. Let's see if I can get rid of it. I can't read it from there. I do need to practice, try to figure out. I've got it. I know there's a pair of lenses you can get that are supposed to be non-glare, but then I think they still glare. That's just something logged in my memory that probably came from an inquiry that I made. But these are real big, so maybe that has something to do with it too. I don't know, I laugh way too much. Let's see. I'll just give you the synopsis for Romans 3. It says, man is not justified by the law of Moses. He is justified through righteousness, which comes through faith in Christ, made possible through Christ's atoning sacrifice. There's the word oracles. Wow. God forbid is there. So I just don't know that I can do it. I can give it a little shot, but it's going to make my head a little dizzy probably. Sorry about the glare, but I'm going to be looking down. So verse 1 says, what advantage then hath the Jew? ? Or what profit is there of circumcision? ? And what profiteth thou? To do that, why would you have to do that? So what advantage then hath the Jew? Or what profit is there of circumcision? That's 2 question marks in there. Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God. For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect? ? God forbid. Yea, let God be true, but every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings, and mightest overcome when thou art judged. But if our righteousness commend the righteousness of God, what shall we say? Is God unrighteous, who taketh vengeance? I speak as a man. God forbid. For then how shall God judge the world? ? For if the truth of God hath more abounded through my lie unto his glory, why yet am I also judged as a sinner? And not rather, in parentheses, as we be slanderously reported, and as some affirm that we say, end of parentheses, let us do evil, that good may come. Whose? Okay, so I'm going to stop there. That good may come, question mark, and then whose damnation is just. Okay, now we're on verse 9. It says, what then? Question mark. Are we better than they? Question mark. No, in no wise, for we have before proved, both Jews and Gentiles, that they are all under sin. As it is written, there is none righteous, no, not one. There is none that understandeth. There is none that seeketh after God. Verse 12. They are all gone out of the way. They are together become unprofitable. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Their throat is an open sepulchre. With their tongues they have used deceit. The poison of asp is under their lips, whose mouth is full of cursing and bitterness. Their feet are swift to shed blood. Let me say that again. Their feet are swift to shed blood. Destruction and misery are in their ways, and the way of peace have they not known. There is no fear of God before their eyes. Now we know that what things soweth, I'm going to put words in there. Okay, we're on verse 19, so it's good to have your own so you can follow. Verse 19, now we know that what things soever the law saith, it saith to them who are under the law. Now there's a colon, one of those two daughters. If you've been following me, you saw that the other day. So what's going to come after that, it should be talking about the same thing. I'm going to go back to what was before the colon. It saith to them who are under the law, that every mouth may be stopped, comma, and all the world may become guilty before God. Therefore, by the deeds of the law, there shall no flesh be justified in his sight, for by the law is the knowledge of sin. But now the righteousness of God without the law is manifested, being witnessed by the law and the prophets. Verse 22, even the righteousness of God, which is by faith of Jesus Christ, unto all and upon all them that believe, for there is no difference. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in Jesus Christ, whom God hath set forth to be I don't know that word, I want to say appropriation, but I don't think that's it. It's P-R-O and then P-I-T-I-A-T-I-O-N. Eation. So yeah. Something like that, you guys. Propitiation. propitiation. So we'll say propitiation. It's not the right word. Through faith in his blood, to declare his righteousness for the remission of sins that are past through the forbearance of God. Now, I stopped that with my cough, so let's see. I know. Sorry. I got a real dry throat. I really should drink some water. So I'll remember verse 25. It still doesn't get you right down in here, you know. Propitiation. All right, verse 25 says, whom God hath set forth to be a propitiation through faith in his blood. I wish I knew that word for sure. Through faith in his blood, set forth to be a... I just don't know what that word means. So, through faith in his blood, to declare his righteousness for the remission of sins that are past through the forbearance of God. Okay, well, I got one thing out of that. You know, I was talking to myself, part of it. Declare. You know what declare means, right? We're going to declare it to people. We're going to tell people. Let's see, I took my glasses off now. All those words are all blurry. Can't see them. I can't see them the best with these glasses either. And I don't want to go look for my other ones in my mind's eye. I just don't know which ones I can see out of better. So, I've already read it twice, right? So I'm not going to read it again. But the part about the declaring, and if you're following along, you can see all the different commas and stuff where you're supposed to stop. So when I pause, sometimes it's, a lot of times when I pause, it's because I'm supposed to. And it separates it so you can understand it better. But sometimes I'm just stumbling over it and I have to go back. and that's kind of how it is, like when you guys read the scriptures. If you don't grasp onto it right away, just know that's the way it is. Because we're learning. I would like to bring that down. I just don't know how. I think the string is gone. Then I wouldn't have a glare. I don't think. Okay, so where was I, guys? I got through 25. That's probably where I was. Okay, so then, because that's what it says in the middle of that verse, to declare his righteousness for the remission of sins. Okay, like when you receive it, it is now, your turn to share it. Okay, so then it starts out to declare in verse 26. To declare, comma, I say, comma, at this time his righteousness, then there's a colon, that he might be just, comma, and the justifier of him which believeth in Jesus. Saying a lot there. To declare, I say, at this time his righteousness, that he might be just, and the justifier of him which believeth in Jesus. Okay, verse 27. Where is boasting then Question mark. It is excluded. By what law? Question mark. Of works? Question mark. Nay, colon. These things are important. But by the law, of faith. I'm losing my voice. Okay, verse 28. Therefore we conclude that a man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law. Is he the God of the Jews only? Is he not also of the Gentiles? Yes, of the Gentiles also. Verse 30. Seeing it is one God, which shall justify the circumcision by faith and uncircumcision through faith, do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid. Yea, we establish the law. What does that mean? Okay, so I made it through. Strange. I'm talking about, comparing the Jew and the Gentile under God. And they are the same. The Jew has its customs or whatever, or beliefs, and circumcision is part of it. But it's more than just talking about it literally. I mean, they probably were talking about it literally then. Because remember, when you're reading this stuff, it's from way long time ago. And they, you go by what your parents teach you, what your culture teaches you, what your religion teaches you. So, what they're just saying is we're all the same under God. And I don't know, they're talking about that law, Is he the God of the Jews only? Is he not also of the Gentiles? Yes, of the Gentiles also. So I guess what I was trying to say is sometimes it's literal and also, I don't know if metaphorical is a word that I'm wanting to use. Symbolism type of thing. Craziness, if you ask me. I don't know. I was reading in those scriptures quite a bit when I was up on that mountain, and so maybe it wasn't just only the New Testament, because there's other books that are really interesting that you learn things from. And I've read it on here. I've read Moses. In the Pearl of Great Price are some ancient records that were translated by Joseph. And they're part of that Pearl of Great Price. And if you have the app, you can get right on that app. And then you go to the books. Then you'll see the scriptures are all laid out. The Old Testament, the New Testament, Book of Mormon, Pearl of Great Price, Doctrine and Covenants. And then I think there's study guides, things to help you to study. I don't know. I haven't explored that. But I know that there's really some good stuff. And so you've got all the scriptures right there at your hands. I mean, yeah. I've got it sitting here on my lap, my iPad. And that's what I just read off of was my iPad. And from that app. So let's see, I can scroll over. It's just too heavy to stop. So Romans 4, the synopsis for Romans 4 says Abraham's faith was accounted to him for righteousness. Then it's got a slash, or, a dash, long dash. Man is justified by faith. Righteousness, righteous works and grace. So that sentence goes together and I messed it up. So it's man is justified by faith, comma, righteous works, comma, and grace. That's the synopsis. I talked a lot about Abraham not that long ago, seems. Don't know why. I remember saying, who is Abraham? Pretty important dude, right? Isn't he the one? See how my mind can go? Abraham. Is he not the father of the 12 tribes of Israel? That's what I'm trying to think. And I should have it right at the forefront, but it's just not stuck in my head. It comes, and I'm usually right, but I'm not like if I'd been doing this every day, really studying and stuff, it would be a part of me. It would just be spouting out of me because I've had it happen before. And it still happens. I kind of know where some scriptures are when I think of them, especially the ones that I've read. I'll say recently, I'm not sure within how long I read that because time is going by so fast. But Abraham, let's see, how many? There's 25 verses. Yeah, it's just too weird. Too weird for my little brain. Let's see. Yeah, they're being a little bit strange there, and I don't want to read it. You guys might want to check it out. Because they're doing this debate type thing, and they're getting technical, and it's probably really good. It's just like, I've got a headache right here, right now, and no bandana. I haven't worn a bandana in quite a while, huh? But lately I've had headaches. I don't know about that. I mean, I was having headaches before, but I've been used to not having them anymore. No, I got on blood pressure medicine, and it really did kick in before long that my numbers were a lot better. I wonder how that works. So anyway, I'm on some different medications that I haven't been on before. And then with all different medications have side effects. So if you get all these side effects kind of clashing with each other, I mean, messing with your everything, I can see why they would say chemical imbalance. They haven't said that about me, okay, but I knew somebody in the past, and maybe you guys have too, someone that they consider to have a chemical imbalance. Well, if you're taking a whole bunch of different pills and they all have, they're made of chemicals, You know what I'm trying to say? I can see. I watched my mom and dad just take so many pills. But then a lot of their pills were supplements. You know, so like the vitamins and minerals and stuff. And then there were a certain few that were for pain. And then your normal, you know, you got your lisinopril. I think that is a blood pressure medicine. Anyway, those certain type of deals that are not supplements, I just don't know that I'd call it medicine. Because medicine insinuates that it's good for you, I would think. Maybe it's good for you in the way it affects you. But I don't know. All I know is right now, there's this problem right there. I put that on there before. I know I'm going to skid around. But, you know, if you have a headache or you have something, I've got like a pounding right there. It's not even on both sides. It's just on one side. So now I've got my finger right on the pulse. And then I put my thumb. I used to always try to go for my fat. Okay. But I don't think it really matters. What matters is contact. So the pounding goes down your finger and it doesn't hurt your head. So if you were to like try to go to sleep so you could get rid of the headache, you know, maybe wake up without it, you could try this particular technique until you go to sleep. This will help you go to sleep because you won't be hurting. Because the pulsating thing goes down your finger. Okay, I'll quit that. So I should probably shut this off. We'll just call this Romans 3, right? Yeah. I'm not going to read Romans 4 on top of Romans 3. Give my brain a break. But yeah, I'm pretty doggone sure Abraham is the father of the 12 tribes. In one way or form. Because it might be that there's some kind of separation between there's 10 and 2. So that's something. So there's the lost 10 tribes. I'm wondering who they are, you know. But they're all these brothers. It's got to be the sons of Abraham. Pretty big in the Bible. I'm just going to say goodbye. I'll talk to you guys a little later. I'll come back and read Romans 4, I guess. Try to not have my head explode on me.